Another video on my Kubota BX2350. This one's going to be on common hard starting issues. The one I had for a very long time was when it was cold, or even intermittently, very, not often, hot, crank, 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 crank. It would barely try to start, and then eventually it would kick in and work. This probably will apply to most of the BX line. But what my problem was the fuel solenoid right there. That's for the injection pump. You can see it naturally sits in the open position. And then when you go to put your key on, if it was closed, it would open back up. Mine was stuck in the closed position and then just barely opening. And then what would happen, see how it pulls it closed and then it'll open up. Mine wasn't opening all the way. And I would need to turn my key on and off a bunch of times, and I thought what it was is I was losing prime in my injection pump lines. But it was that. I can't believe I didn't think of this sooner. This is like the simplest thing to look at. But I could turn the key back and forth, and I put some lubrication on there, and it seems to have helped, but that probably means my solenoid's getting ready to go. So that's one thing to check. The second thing would be is if, say, it seemed like you had one cylinder firing when it started, and then it would pick up or it would kind of rev up and down. You want to see if you have any air in your lines, if you recently changed fuel filters or something isn't tight. You never loosen, I would never loosen the injection lines down at the pump. You do them one at a time on top of the cylinders. Kind of a pain in the ass, especially with the loader on. You got to do it from that way. And this engine, like some of the older and bigger Kubotas, it doesn't have a decompression lever on it. So what I did to purge the air is I opened one cylinder at a time, and I would crank it over like it was starting. And sometimes it will actually start because it'll just fire off the two cylinders. Do one at a time until it looks like there's a constant amount. Be careful, there's a lot of pressure in there. You don't want fuel to spray you in the face. The next thing to check is your two fuel filters. I don't have them because of the modification I did on my tractor. You'd see in the other video, but normally there's one tucked in right about there, and then there's one underneath on the mid of the tractor. The one on the mid of the tractor is usually the one that always goes bad. If that's your issue and you need to use your tractor right away, usually loosening the hose clamps where the fuel filter is and rotating it 180, that will get you by for a little while. The other thing while we're down here is you have your little electric fuel pump. If it's getting weak at start, especially if you're in a cold environment, it might not be pushing enough fuel back up during starting. And the last thing too is if air was your problem, this is an air bleeder. I had to get mine replaced because I broke it, but not this big nut, the small one right there. There's a little hole drilled in it, so you should be able to loosen it maybe one full turn, then turn your key to on and just let it pump, and you'll see fuel come out. Do that until it seems like there's no more bubbles, and that'll purge everything from there back to the tank, and then loosening the lines like I said earlier. Of course, the one thing it could be as well is if you have like a weak cylinder or cylinders because your rings are worn or something like that in your engine. But try the things I just mentioned in this video, and hopefully it'll get you going and keep you from being annoyed every time you go to start your tractor. I was haunted by this problem of hard starts since I bought this thing 3 years ago. Fixed every other darn thing on it, and I can't believe I didn't think it was that solenoid. But hey, live and learn. Figured it out. I'm passing it on to you guys.